Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Rivera. I am presenting my video project for Professor Bennett Tchaikovsky's Accounting Ethics course at Irvine Valley College. I will be doing it on a Netflix series called 3%. This show is similar to Squid Game, which is also Netflix. I chose this show to do my project because although this show has nothing to do with accounting, there are themes from this show that are applicable to the accounting profession. So let's dive in. And so at the beginning of the first episode, it starts off by giving a quote. And so the quote reads, "The world is divided into two sides, one abundant, the other scarce. A selection process lies between them. At the age of 20, each person has one chance. The chosen ones never return. They are the 3%. And so this quote lays the foundation for what the show is about. As people turn 20 years old, they are granted the opportunity to take part in a process where they compete amongst others for a spot in the world with abundant resources. The 3% represents the percentage of the population who pass the process. We'll get into more detail on the setting in the upcoming slides. And so the show takes place in Brazil, where the area is divided into two sides, the inland and the offshore. The photos to the right shows the inland at the top and the offshore at the bottom. The inland is where folks live in poverty and don't have the necessary access to basic resources. The offshore is an island where folks live in wealth and have a much better quality of life than those who live in the inland. As people grow up in the inland, they await their chance to participate in the process. They are led to believe this is the only way out from poverty. Those who don't successfully pass the process have to endure the trauma of being eliminated and return to their lives in the inland. And so what exactly is the process? The process is a series of events where folks compete against each other in challenging games. The winners move on to the next round, and the losers are sent back to the inland. This is funded through a special council, which consists of very wealthy people. The offshore needs people to sustain it by performing daily job routines. But as far as who is chosen to live in the offshore is very selective. The ideology in the process is that only those with merit should live in the offshore. As a result, those who pass the process are required to be given a vaccine, which prevents them from ever having kids. So the idea behind this is that if someone is a kid of someone who passed the process, that should not allow that kid to be able to live in the offshore. So this is strictly based off of merit, where only those who pass the process are allowed to live in the offshore. And so the main character, which I will focus on, is a woman named Michelle. She grew up in poverty with her older brother in the inland. Her older brother takes part in the process when it's his turn, and he never returns to the inland. Michelle is told growing up that her older brother was murdered by the leader of the process. When she gets older, she takes part in the process. However, she secretly joins a group of people known as the Cause. The Cause is a group of people whose mission is to destroy the process, which is believed to perpetuate the inequality that exists between people from the offshore and inland. In addition to destroying the process, her main priority is to infiltrate the process to seek revenge of her brother's death and to murder the leader of the process. And so why I chose Michelle to focus on for my presentation, while there are other characters in the story who come across several ethical dilemmas throughout the series, I find the dilemmas encountered by Michelle to be the most significant. The situations that Michelle encounters make me really analyze what I would have done if I were in her position. Of all the ethical dilemmas she encountered, there are two that stand out that I believe are the most significant. And so for her first ethical dilemma, here's kind of the buildup. So other infiltrators who want to destroy the process as well come up with a plan to destroy the process's registration data. The reason for doing this is because the process can't carry on without this data. This data contains very important information about the participants' background and their names and birth dates. In addition, it helps confirm who is actually 20 years old. And so they find out there are two copies of this registration data, one in the offshore and one in the process building. They concoct a plan where they split up to impair the data at each location. And so while this is happening, Michelle finds out that one of the founding members of the offshore a long time ago wanted to save everyone in the inland and attempted to get a site built in the inland that can provide resources to people in that area. Although her attempt failed, Michelle becomes infatuated with the founding members' beliefs, and Michelle begins to have a change of heart in destroying the process. And so the data in the process building is successfully impaired, and the data left to destroy is at the offshore. Michelle is at the offshore and comes across one of her acquaintances who is attempting to open a door that leads to the registration data. She opens the door for him, but then she knocks him over the head, and she uses that opportunity to transfer the data into a device she has with her. And now the only remaining copy of that data is with her. She uses the data to blackmail the leaders of the process into providing Michelle the necessary resources, i.e. food, fertilizer, water, so that she can build another location where some folks from the inland can build a life. This new location is called the Shell. Instead of destroying the process, which was part of her original mission, she changed sides and leveraged the offshore into giving Michelle her desire to provide her alternative version of a better life, not just for herself, but for others. And so my thoughts on Michelle's first ethical dilemma, I disagree with Michelle's decision, but I'm understanding of her thinking. Something Michelle was thinking was, what happens next if the process ends? Her thinking is she can use the offshore's resources to help build a better life for everyone. While that is true, I still disagree with her decision because the biggest hindrance that's still placed on people in the inland is the psychological dependence on the process. In a way, people from the inland are mentally controlled by the process, and by continuing the process, the wealthy elite who fund the process still maintain not just the majority of the wealth, but also the majority of the control. And so before doing this project, I still disagreed with her decision because her and other folks had to endure so much just to get to have the opportunity to end the process. After doing this project, I'm more understanding by Michelle's rationale. And so the second ethical dilemma encountered by Michelle we'll go through. So during the series, Michelle finds out that her brother, Andre, is alive, and the leader of the process did not kill him. While Michelle is initially overjoyed, over time, she comes to realize that she and him have diabolically opposing views on life. Michelle is more accepting and wants to help as many people as she can, but Andre is more selective and believes only the few elite are entitled to a healthy quality of life provided by the offshore. It gets so out of hand that Andre sabotages the Shell to take control over it, as he wants the offshore and process to be the end-all be-all. Michelle comes to this acknowledgement and realizes that the offshore and process must end. Towards the end of the show, she and others remotely ignite a pulse through a submarine that destroys all electricity and power on the offshore. The pulse inadvertently causes radioactive leaks to occur throughout the island, causing people to leave, or else they will die. And so everyone is attempting to leave the offshore to return to the inland, but Andre is doing everything he can to contain everyone. Andre doesn't want the process to end and is hanging on to the ideology of the 3%. In order to ensure that everyone knows that the process is over, Michelle makes her way into the process building where she can make an announcement where everyone is able to hear it through the intercom. This is important because if the announcement doesn't come from the process building, most folks won't believe the process is over. Michelle encounters Andre and both point a gun at each other. Andre is preventing Michelle from making the announcement. Does she kill her brother or not make the announcement? Given everything that happened, Michelle shoots Andre and is then able to make the announcement. After the announcement is made, Andre is not dead after all and kills Michelle. And so my thoughts on the second ethical dilemma, as difficult of a decision as this was, I agree with Michelle's decision to attempt to kill Andre. Because Andre essentially became a dictator and was jeopardizing the well-being of others, Michelle had no other choice. Andre wanted the offshore to maintain its superiority over others and wanted others to feel inferior to him. The irony is that her initial mission to avenge her brother's death ended up leading her to go against him. Andre was so obsessed with the ideology of the process that all reason and logic was not going to resonate with him. And so I'll conclude by stating how I was personally impacted after doing this video project in my final remarks. After completing this assignment, I have a deeper appreciation for the decisions made by the characters. Even though 3% is a fictional series and doesn't have anything to do with accounting, there are definitely themes that can be related to the accounting profession and your personal life. So just as an example, if you know someone that you've known for a long time is doing something egregiously wrong, will you do something about it? And so tying this back to the show, despite the fact that Michelle loved Andre as her brother, she knew she had to do the right thing and try to stop his oppressive behavior on others. We can also apply this to a real life example we learned about in this course with Rita Crunwell. who was a former government employee who embezzled about $53 million from the city of Dixon in the state of Illinois. She was caught as a result of the findings of Kathy Swanson, the city clerk, who had worked with Rita for about 20 years and called out the activity she was seeing in a suspicious bank account to the mayor. I bring this up as even though Kathy knew Rita for a long time, Kathy still did the right thing and acted ethically. And so to wrap things up, just another scenario, if you're asked and pressured by someone you know very well to do something to help them that you feel isn't the right thing to do, are you for certain you wouldn't do it? It may be easy to think you would act a certain way in a particular situation, but until you're actually put in a precarious situation, you won't truly know how you'll react. And so that's the end. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.